This episode is brought to you by Buy My Stuff on eBay. Yes, you too can buy my stuff from eBay. Simply search for the seller, Tin Dog Podcast, and you can own some rare and collectible items. From the same people who brought you Buy My Books on Amazon. Check the show notes for a direct link.
Scanning for audio.
Welcome once again to another Tin Dog Podcast. Another quiz, because people seem to like them. So, not quite sure when this is out. I was doing them Mondays, but this Monday had for your consideration. So, let's do something else. The Adventures of the Fourth Doctor. As always, you can put your score in the YouTube comments box at the bottom, or just email them, or indeed put them on Blue Sky or Twitter, or whatever you want to do. Or just keep them to yourself, that's fine. Okay, so The Adventures of the Fourth Doctor, just quickly checking, 20 questions. Here we go. Question 1. Who destroyed Faster Osiris? And of course the answer to that one is Sutekh. Sutekh. At the time of the Doctor and Sarah's visit to Khan, the sacred flame of life was apparently dying. However, at the sisters' ceremonies, the flame burned as brightly as ever. Why? And of course the answer to question 2 is because Marin had secretly fed the flame with powdered rhineweed. I know. Fake news. Question 3. What happened to the Tharals on the day of the feast? And the answer to question 3 is they slaughtered and defeated by the Gundans and entered upon a life of slavery, just as they had formerly enslaved other creatures. Yeah, very exciting and a bit sad. Okay, the next question. Question 4. Who swallowed the symbol of power, killed his high priest, and grew to an enormous size? Of course, the answer to question 4 is Kroll. Question 5. Who posed as an executive of the Magellanic Mining Corporation in pursuance of his own greedy game? And it is, the answer to question 5 is Garen of Rebos, or Ribos, depending on which bit of the episode you're actually watching and how they've decided to pronounce it. Question 6. Which member of the TARDIS crew has visited Krynoth? Krynoth. And the answer is Romana. She journeyed there in the Naimon's travel capsule. How many Naimon have you seen today? That's not one of the questions. Question 7. What was to be found on asteroid K4067, and why did Leela take the Doctor there? It's the Bial Foundation, the Centre for Alien Biomorphology, where Leela took the Doctor so he could be cured from the virus of the swarm, which he'd become infected, and of course be given K9. You know I've added that last bit. Question 8. What was Neophobos? Neophobos. And of course the answer to Neophobos was also known as Voga, which was the name given to the mysterious asteroid which had been captured by Jupiter's gravity some 50 years earlier before the Cybermen's attack on Nerva. Kellerman named it Voga, realising the asteroid was in fact the fabled planet of gold. Question 9. Why were the Wirren forced to leave their breeding colonies in Andromeda? Now remember, this is in series of Doctor Who, not sort of Big Finishy. Although I'm pretty sure it actually matches. The answer is they were driven out by humans. To be fair, that's a fairly safe answer to go with. Question 10. Eldrad's true form was a large, heavy, crystalline monster. Why did he initially assume the form of a beautiful female alien? Coming up with your own answers there, aren't you? Question 10's answer was, when he regenerated, and we'll use the word that's written down here, when he regenerated, he recognised the need to assume a form acceptable to humans and based his appearance on the first creature he encountered, namely Sarah Jane Smith. There are other answers, and I'm pretty sure we could take those as well. What exactly was the power complex on Skonos? And the answer to that question is the domain of the Naimon, a constantly changing maze which was literally a giant circuit board. There's a further description which goes on to talk about black holes and stuff. But you know. How many Naimon have you seen today? I've already said that, but seriously, how many have you seen? Question 12. Who was Marn? M-A-R-N. Who was Marn? Marn was the personal assistant to Gatherer on Pluto. She later defied the company and joined the rebels in liberating Megropolis 1. Question 13. According to an ancient Terran law, what would happen if the heir to the Terran throne missed the appointed hour of the coronation? Come on! Another king would be chosen from the nobles assembled for the coronation. That is kind of cool. Number 14. How does an Argolin die? To be fair, that does sound like a sort of an award-winning novel. The answer is, at the end of their lives, the Argolans age at a shockingly rapid rate, changing in a matter of minutes from a spry, apparently young person to a husk of a body. This is also accompanied by the falling out of their elaborate coned hair of seed pods. Yeah, that's fine. Number 15. Who mined Zelenite and Lucanol? This is fairly easy, you'll know this one. You'll know this one. Who mined Zelenite and Lucanol? And to be fair, just think of a Doctor Who story where there's mining. The answer is the Yuvanov's crew on board the Sand Miner. You could also, I'll also accept a load of robots who did the actual work. Question 16. What was found inside the biomagnetron on Poseidon? Yeah. The village of Evesham, which the Kralls used as a training ground. The village was in fact an almost perfect copy of the original on Earth. Question 17. Which of the Doctor's foes became a fly caught by honey? Of course, the answer is the Master, when he became Melkor on Traken. Melkor is the Traken word literally meaning a fly caught by honey. Yeah, we should all have a word for that, shouldn't we? Question 18? Yes, I think so. What is so peculiar about the interior decorative style of the old Thessalian Empire? And the answer to question 18 is they made great use of lead panelling, lead being the rarest metal in the Empire. Are you sure? The Doctor had his presidential quarters on Gallifrey built in this style to prevent the Vardens from reading his thoughts. Shall we go to question 19? On which planet did the Doctor and Romana discover the grave of Carnathian buried far away from the tropical planet on which he was born? Yeah, you figured that one out. It's Skaro. And finally, for this round, question 20. The only effective way to kill a great vampire was to drive a stake through its heart. This was not merely superstition. There was a very practical reason for doing so. What were they? And the answer in Doctor Who Universe to this question is the vampires possessed an extremely efficient cardiovascular. You know what? You wouldn't believe how NHS. The vampires possessed an extremely efficient cardiovascular system, enabling them to seal off any minor wounds. Only a stake through their hearts could therefore destroy them. And that brings us to the end of our 4th Doctor quiz. Until next time, be seeing you. That was the Tin Dog Podcast. All topics discussed are the intellectual property of the copyright owners. No infringement is intended. Why not follow the show on Blue Sky at tindogpodcast.bsky.social. If you've enjoyed this podcast on YouTube, please click like and subscribe. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.